Hola amigos, bien o no, y saludos desde Inglaterra. Hoy quiero decir algo con la idea de por qué nosotros practicar diálogos. ¿Por qué practicar diálogos en total? Porque es útil y porque va a ayudarnos por el futuro para mejorar nuestra fluidez. So ese es el tema de hoy. So, hello again from England. Theme of the day is dialogues, or correctly, why we practice dialogues, and how and why this is going to help us improve our fluency. So, really, the idea is that we're going to imagine a future situation and we're going to think of as many different ways that situation may play out. So we're going to think of as many questions we might need to ask in that situation. We're going to think of as many questions that other people might ask us, other things they might say to us, and different ways that we could respond in that situation. So some of this is easy to predict. Let's say we're going to go buy a ticket for the metro, something like that. You can predict that kind of conversation quite readily. But the idea as well as that is to think about other conversations you might have to have in that general environment. So let's put you in the metro station. You bought your ticket, but someone else in the queue asks you a question. What kind of questions might they ask you? How can you be prepared to answer that question or give a polite answer in the sense of, sorry, I don't know, or I can't help you now, or I need to do this, or something like that. Think about different situations that could play out outside of even the question you've gone to ask. Because life's like that, right? You know, we're in the supermarket, we're queuing up, we're doing our groceries, and then the person behind us asks us a question, perhaps about something that we bought, because where did you find that? I've been looking for that, I couldn't find it. Now, you might have to answer that question now in the new language. Things like that. The more we can imagine useful conversations that we might have to have out there in the real world, the easier this is going to be for us when we're there. So the more we can model our response in that situation, and we can think of how would I normally answer that situation? What would I normally say if that happened to me now? What would I normally say? Think of a really good example of how you'd answer that. If need be, translate that out now into the new language. See how that sounds and work with that, because the better we can practice these things, when we get there, in the end, we're better prepared. And when we start combining that in with listening to similar dialogue in those kind of situations, and this is where films and TV shows come in, because you can start listening carefully to what do they say in that situation. You get lots of good examples of how people talk to each other in those kind of places. This improves our ability to adapt to the situation in real life. So don't neglect it. On one hand, start with the basics. What's the question you want to ask? What's the answer you're expecting? But then step out of that just a little bit. Think about what other questions or conversations are likely to be happening near me. You see what I mean? If I'm going to join into one of these conversations or be asked to join it because someone's going to ask me a question, what would I say? And we slowly expand our useful vocabulary in that way. And then, rather like an actor learning a script for a longer film, we add different scenes, we practice that dialogue, and eventually we should be able to improvise more within the context of those scenes. And there we have it. So that's the idea. Déjame saber en los comentarios, como siempre. But for now, we'll say cheerio.